Hey, what's up, guys? Squall Noctis here, and welcome to an episode of Let's Talk. And in this episode, I want to talk about Devil May Cry and, of course, Metal Gear Rising. These are two action games that are coming out next year, and a lot of people that have been talking about Devil May Cry often bring up Metal Gear Rising as the better action game. Um, Me personally, I don't think even in the slightest um Metal Gear Rising is better. Now that's just me. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. I just personally found Devil May Cry to be the more let's see, the more replayable game. Yeah, the more replayable game. And Devil May Cry the demo was actually a lot more fun than the Metal Gear Rising demo. Um, of course, I own both demos and I played both demos a lot. And it just felt like Metal Gear Rising was pretty much like your typical hack and slash. Just mash square, and then go into cutting mode and then slice up the enemy and keep on going. And that's pretty much how the demo felt. Even though you can do combos and things like that, it just seemed like doing something like that is pretty much subpar. It's not the best thing to do when you can just mash one button and then treat the game like it's easy. And that's pretty much what the game felt like. I mean, I'm not saying the game is terrible. I was just saying if you don't really do much, you still get the same um, output from the game. I wouldn't say output. Okay, let me fix my face so I can actually talk correctly. um, what I'm saying is basically when it comes down to combat, Devil May Cry makes um it truly does make Metal Gear Rising free. It makes it free. And I'm not trying to, say anything about the game in a bad way. It's just the combat is so subpar compared to, Devil May Cry. And I'm trying to trying to play and talk at the same time. That's why I keep freezing up like that. But yeah, because what I'm actually doing is live, so excuse me, guys. Um, but yes, like I was saying, it just really feels like Devil May Cry is going to be the better action game for me. And I'm not saying, I'm not saying this just because it's Devil May Cry. I'm saying this because from the demo, it actually feels like a better action game. The action is Devil May Cry. It feels like Devil May Cry. Like the combat, it just feels straight up like Devil May Cry. It doesn't even really feel like it's a different game, other than the fact it's running at 30 frames per second. But and of course there are some things that are missing from this game, like the lock on. Pretty obvious. The stances, I pretty much look at the stances as the styles of this game. To be like fully flat out honest, is this that's just me. It really does feel like Devil May Cry game. It plays like Devil May Cry. It acts like Devil May Cry, but it's just a different Devil May Cry. Um, the best way to explain it is Look at Mega Man, classic Mega Man, and then look at Mega Man X. That's pretty much what this is. You know, original Devil May Cry, new Devil May Cry, different universe, different story, you know, things like that. So what I pretty much feel what Capcom is going for with Devil May Cry is having different universes and different Dantes, pretty similar to how, you know, Mega Man is. I believe there's 8 different Mega Mans and like 150 games, maybe 120 plus. It might even be 200 by now. I know like last time I actually looked, it was like 150, and that was a couple of years ago. So yeah, it it may have reached to 200s because it was about I did for a study, I believe, and it was about 120, 150 games some years ago. So it could be way more than that. I'm not too sure, but I'm pretty sure it's about 150 games. Um, I would actually like to see 150 different Devil May Cries. I mean, 150 Devil May Cry games and like maybe about 8, 10 different Dantes. That actually sounds like a really good, cool idea for me. I mean, a lot of other fans, they may not like it, but hey, you know, you gonna have to deal with it. I mean, think about it. Who wouldn't want like other universes of Devil May Cry? That would be like really awesome, you know? Maybe like in the next universe we can get like a more badass Dante rather than the jokey, funny, badass kind of Dante. Maybe we get like the more serious, ultimate dark tone, uh, badass Dante. You know, kind of like let's see, what anime character can I think of right now? Ogami Ray? Yes, that dude is badass. And what if we get like a Dante like that? I mean, I think that'd be pretty awesome. But anyways, I'm gonna be talking about the demos. And overall, I after playing both demos, I just personally feel that Metal Gear Rising, it was okay, but it wasn't like perfect. You know, like the demo wasn't really that impressive outside of, you know, the visuals. And we all know good visuals don't really necessarily mean a good game. Just like good sales for a game doesn't make a game good. Like Call of Duty. But I really did like the visuals of Metal Gear Rising, but I just didn't like the combat of Metal Gear Rising. The combat was like really subpar, and I guess that's because shortly after I played the Devil May Cry demo, I played the Metal Gear Rising demo because I went out and picked up my limited edition Zone of the Enders HD collection, which came with the Metal Gear Rising demo, and I think we're supposed to be getting a demo on PSN sometime next week, maybe this week. I forget because I already have the demo, so it's pretty much like, yeah, don't really need it. However, one issue that I was having with Metal Gear Rising was it kept freezing. I didn't really understand, like, why is it freezing? If anyone else has this problem, I just want to be sure that I'm not the only one that's having this problem. Like, everything else about the disc works fine, but the Metal Gear Rising demo, it just freezes out of nowhere. It's like, I'm doing really good, having fun, you know, doing cutting mode, and then it freezes, and I'm like, oh, is this like slow-mo or something? No, the game froze. Yeah, it just froze. I didn't have that issue with Devil May Cry, so that instantly increased my fun for the game a lot more. But that's, you know, pretty irrelevant. Combat, like I said, it really felt like with Metal Gear Rising, you could just mash square and just do a cutting time, and then, you know, parry against like certain enemies that you can obviously cannot just mash square against, and that pretty much seemed like that was it. I mean, like the demo really felt like it was brain dead in the combat area. Now, I'm not saying this is what I did in the game. I mean, obviously, when you guys are looking at the gameplay that is obviously right up now, I'm not really just mashing square. I'm actually using the triangle button as well and trying to figure out like the combos that's actually in the game. But it's like it's just not the same as Devil May Cry, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It's actually a good thing, and I actually do like the combat. not being too Devil May Cry-ish, but at the same time, Devil May Cry is the main reason why I can't play some action games like God of War and Heavenly Sword, because their combat is just not as flashy and exciting, and it just isn't as hype as Devil May Cry combat. Um, but those are really good games. I'm not saying they're bad games. I only played, I played Heavenly Sword and I played like the first two God of War games, and then after that it was like Devil May Cry, God of War. It's just like, no, it doesn't work. It just doesn't. At least not for me. I mean, I know there's people that that actually play Devil May Cry and God of War, actually love both games, and can play them equally. Me, it is just um but yeah, with the Devil May Cry demo, it was a lot more to the game than just a couple of squares and triangles and circles. It was something like a jump cancel that I found out, and by watching Gregor Man play, and I thought that was actually pretty freaking cool. It was like, oh, jump canceling, sweet. It's like something that I really want to learn how to do in this game. I mean, it's pretty obvious that this game was gonna have some type of cancel found out. It's just like, with Devil May Cry, the original, the bow cancels. So I'm not too surprised about that. I wonder, however, if there is an empty cancel that's in, PlayStation All-Stars for Dante. The reason why I say that is because the empty cancels actually makes some stuff look cool, but then at the same time, in this game, Dante doesn't really have the same stuff that he has in PlayStation All-Stars. And what I mean by this, he doesn't have like square, 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 and it causes a stagger. So that could be possibly why he doesn't have an empty cancel, or maybe someone just didn't figure it out. I don't know. I don't know. That's just me. But I would actually love to see if there is a empty cancel in this game, or a bold cancel, which we have to actually wait till the final product comes out, because the demo is pretty much like an appetizer. That's what both of these games are, an appetizer for the main course, which is coming January 15th for Devil May Cry, and I think February 15th for Metal Gear Rising. So yeah, it's pretty much an appetizer. But in terms of the demos, I have to say Devil May Cry was just a lot better than Metal Gear Rising, and overall with the final product, with what was given to me with the Devil May Cry demo, I really do feel that Devil May Cry is going to be a better action game than Metal Gear Rising. I'm just saying, I'm not trying to troll anybody or anything like that. I honestly, fully, truthfully believe that Metal Gear Rising is just not ready to go up against a game like Devil May Cry. Maybe another action game that's coming out, a hack and slash action game that's coming out sometime, 2013. Maybe it can beat that game, but it definitely cannot beat Devil May Cry. I mean, even though it's not made by Capcom, it, like I said, it does feel and play like a Devil May Cry game to me. And yes, there is no lock on, and yes, there is no style per se. But like I said, I actually treat the angel and demon stances as a form of a style. Like, this Dante has basically all the styles that the original had. We didn't have to, like, let me put it like this. Before Devil May Cry 4, we really had to... Goddamn phone. Okay, sorry about that. Had got a phone call. I forgot what the hell I was talking about now. But I think I was talking about overall. Yeah, overall, I actually just like the Devil May Cry demo more so than the Metal Gear Rising demo, simply because the combat is basically the whole entire game. That's gonna be what I'm gonna be playing through the whole time. I'm gonna be, punching and kicking and cutting and flipping and all that other stuff. It's gonna be the main core of the game, and that's the action. Because as an action game, you're not gonna have long cutscenes and things like that. It's an action game, and the main selling point of an action game is the action. Now, yes, that does include cutscenes and story and things like that, but what are you going to be playing the entire time? The combat. So the combat was a lackluster for me in Metal Gear Rising, and it was a lot better for me in Devil May Cry because, like I said, there's councils in this demo, and there isn't councils in Metal Gear Rising, which I would actually hope to see because, like the doctor guy, said in the cutscene that we can get upgrades. So until the game drops, then I'll have a full, opinion about which one I like more and which one I feel is better. But right now, going off the demos, Devil May Cry bodies Metal Gear Rising free. This is free. So free. But yeah. If you guys have any opinions, make sure that you comment down below or make a video response, whichever one you feel like doing. And actually let me know what you guys think. I mean, if you think Metal Gear Rising is better, then state why. If you think Devil May Cry is better, just state why. Like I said, Devil May Cry, the demo is better because the combat was better. And I think both games will have a really good soundtrack, to be honest. So I'm not even going to put soundtrack in consideration because they're both action games, and you really can't go wrong with soundtrack for action games. Even though there has been a couple of games that had terrible soundtracks. But it's Metal Gear Rising and Devil May Cry. It's pretty much impossible for those games to have bad soundtracks. So yeah, like I said, comment your opinions down below and make a video response if you feel like it. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Catch you guys next time.